welcome to another episode of Asexualized, my Asexual Life. This is the place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual. I share my asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that great big subscribe button right here, right now, and please hit that bell icon so you get notified every time I go live like now or post a new video. So is an autism related is a big question that's on quite a lot of people's minds from what I read in various groups, etc. So let me take time to let you know I am no scientist. I do not look at scientific research about asexuality. I am all about not, having to prove asexuality is real or exists or, is what it is. But I am all about just experiencing asexuality, listening to real asexuals, right? Steve. Hi, Stevie. Yeah, I'm a bit late on here tonight. Thank you for the thumbs up. And I said I'd be because my friend didn't go home till a little bit later. So, and I'm Skyping my best asexual friend at 10 as well. But thank you so much for waiting and being here for me. I really appreciate that. So I've still got my jacket on. As you can see, I've been out with them for a walk because I have to get used to walking with a crutch going out now. So while my ankle's still healing. So yes, thank you so much for that. But yeah, going back to autism and asexuality, I'm not a scientist. I don't look at all the scientific stuff about asexuality, which might surprise some people because I don't believe we have to prove we're asexual. I don't believe there has to be a scientific reason why we're asexual because heterosexuals don't need to prove why they're heterosexual. Do you know what I mean? So kind of like for me personally, I know I'm asexual, so I know asexuality is real. It's not like I have to get some scientific evidence to back that up because I know it. I live and breathe being asexual. I can see how I've always been asexual but never realized it since I was a kid. And because I have all that experience and understand myself on a deep foundational level, I don't doubt myself with my asexuality. I might doubt other things sometimes in my life, but never my asexuality. I don't doubt that I'm asexual, right? And obviously I spend a lot of time in asexual groups, on asexual forums. I run groups of my own. And so I'm very much listening to what people say in comments and interactions with each other. I listen to real asexuals, not some scientific textbook that's often written by someone who's not even asexual, right? So I listen to the people. And there are a lot of asexuals that are also autistic. But the question most people have is, if you're autistic, does that automatically make you asexual? And the answer is no, it doesn't, right? It really doesn't. I have known autistic people, autistic guys, and some of the autistic guys I've known, they love sex. In fact, that can be one of their obsessions. So if you don't, I have quite a lot of autistic friends. I'm not autistic myself, but my personality sometimes very much suits an autistic person because I'm very bubbly, I'm very hyper, I'm very energetic. So some autistic people love that. For others, it's a bit too much stimulus for them, right? So it depends very much on the different autistic person. But I want you to know that not every asexual is autistic. They don't automatically go hand in hand, right? I've had one of the guys that I was in a relationship with very briefly, who wasn't suitable for me in the end. I don't know if you remember a British guy a couple of years ago. He was like had severe mental health difficulties and was clearly on the autistic spectrum, very autistic. And he I think he might have had other difficulties, not just being on the autistic spectrum. But anyway, and he was very much into sex and he wasn't, like, I don't necessarily think he was into doing it so much, but he was specifically obsessed with looking at porn channels before he met me particularly, and obsessed with the sex itself. So what I mean? So, some people, just because they're autistic doesn't mean to say that they're not going to be into sex, right? There are lots of heterosexuals that, for example, that are autistic that do have sex. Right, there was one guy I knew, we were quite close as friends, but he said to me that he would still want sex. He liked me more than a friend in the beginning. And then he said, but I do like sex, Sandra. And he was very autistic as well, right? And so just because someone is autistic does not make them asexual, right? Some people try and find loads of logical and scientific explanations for why someone's asexual. And maybe if someone is kind of like putting their asexuality on a specific reason why they're like that, then maybe that's good for them. For me personally, I'm just naturally asexual. I don't have to have some evidence of some scientific stuff or something wrong with me, because I don't believe there is anything wrong with me to make me asexual, because I'm not made asexual. I'm just naturally like this. It's a natural state, a natural thing for me to be in. I do think asexuals' brain works differently. I haven't looked into if there's any scientific evidence of that, but I very much know from talking to asexuals, from writing my Asexual Guide to Sex book, which I still need to finish. I'm in the middle of doing a journal at the moment because I'm having to do a new specific, very, very new in-depth journal to help me organise my life better. So that's what I've been working on for the last few days. And it's hopefully going to help me in multiple aspects of my life. So it's going to be really good. I'm going to have it for sale as well. But anyway, I'm digressing now. But what I mean to say is, I don't have to have some scientific evidence, and just talking to asexuals from the Asexual Guide to Sex book and understanding them, I can tell their brains are wired differently just from talking to them. Stevie, I think it's because people view asexuality and autism as broken, which needs to be changed. Oh, thank you, Stevie. I really appreciate your input on that. Yeah, I mean, it's really weird, isn't it? Asexuality is not because someone's broken. There is no break, right? We're just different. We are wired differently. Our brains think differently. I know this from experience of being around asexuals in groups, talking to asexual groups in person. I've had this channel have been 6 years in October, going for 6 years. I've got a lot of experience being around asexuals, talking to asexuals, being asexual, right? There might be some asexuals that feel that they're asexual for a specific reason, right? I don't want to go into depth about that, but there might be some that feel they're asexual because of trauma. They feel that personally. There might be some that feel that there is something wrong with them to make them asexual. Maybe that's their personal experience that they feel like that. But asexuality fundamentally is a real genuine sexual orientation that's a lack of sexual attraction, right? And I do think sometimes that some parts of the asexual community does not do itself any favors by saying stuff that leads us to not being taken seriously, right? Because at the end of the day, asexuality is very real and it's very serious. And if there's certain parts of the community that's not actually speaking in a very sensible way, but kind of people can use a label if they want or not use it in a very haphazard way, then it's not doing you any favors, you know what I mean, as a community. So I'm very conscious about that. Stevie, we may be different but not less. Exactly, Stevie, we're definitely not less. In fact, we use a part of our brain that other people I don't think access. I think that's actually a huge difference. We've got like a lot of people don't use more than 10% of their brain, whereas asexuals are able to think differently. Even people with mental health difficulties, the reason a lot of time I believe they've got mental health difficulties because we think outside the box, while our brains are thinking much more deeply about things, much more expansive than the average person. And so that's why I think people have mental health difficulties, mental ill health, because we are wired so differently to other people. Like I have anxiety, but that makes me analyze lots of things. It makes me self-reflect loads. I'm very self-aware. And if you're self-aware of yourself, you're constantly saying to, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? What's this about? What's that about? Whereas some other people that don't have these difficulties, they just kind of don't think so much, right? Which might be a good thing because they might be calmer, but then they're not really using so much of their brain, right? As we know, autistic people usually are very, very super intelligent. They might have issues going on, difficulties, but they're also very, very, very intelligent. Some of them are more intelligent. Their IQ is really above average, well above average, right? So it just means that we're wired differently and actually can be very advantageous and very beautiful and amazing and incredible, right? So instead of seeing people with mental health difficulties as difficult or broken, we should be thinking, my God, how do they think differently? Right? What's their secret? Right? How are they able to analyze and construct things that we can't even fathom? How can they have this deep mind which investigates things? Right? Because some of the qualities of people who've got mental health difficulties are actually very much suited to certain things that other people aren't. I mean, I'm really creative, right? And my anxiety is usually always right. Like in terms of like, like anxiety conditions, I've got generalized anxiety disorder, in case you didn't know. I didn't used to talk about it, but I'm talking more openly about stuff like that now, right? It makes me like have very special superpowers as well, right? Which people don't talk about. I don't know how I've got from autism to anxiety, but I have. But I'm trying to say that, whether you've got autism or you've got anxiety, these can actually have like superpowers, right? Because I can like, when I broke my ankle, I walked back home on it on my own, across a bridge, across fields. I actually bent it back into place by myself and had no painkillers. I didn't even have any painkillers for days till I went to the hospital, because anxiety and adrenaline kicks in and it overfloods my system, so that I am able to feel not the maximum amount of pain in certain situations. In that situation, it was afterwards I felt more pain, like after like the adrenaline worn off, right? Because I've been used to being in fight or flight a lot, which isn't good, because I've been with partners in the past that weren't good for me, that put me in fight or flight mode, right? But that means I can switch that, it switches on like a switch. And in certain dangerous situations or traumatic situations, it just kicks in, and it can be very advantageous. It can be very quick. Like I've had accidents before. I'm really quick thinking through accidents, like other accidents in the past. I can think while I'm having the accident, which isn't normal, right? So, in autistic people, some of them are, like I said, that IQ is sky high, and they're able to construct things, mathematical things, for example, put things together that other people can't do, right? So we should be understanding fundamentally people are different, right? People are different. It doesn't mean to say they're wrong or they're bad. I personally would rather have asexual love any day than sexual love, because I just feel that more. I can deeply connect to asexuals far more than I can with sexuals usually. Sexuals don't usually open up. It's more generalized conversation. It's more kind of keeping you at arm's length. It's more kind of standoffish. But when I talk to asexuals, even as friends, it's a like much more deeper emotional connection, right? But people who are autistic, there are quite a number of asexuals that I know that are autistic and also asexual. And sometimes there's people who are autistic that don't like to be touched very much. And so obviously sex usually involves a lot of touching, but there are people who are asexual. They don't like being touched very much, but they can still do some sexual acts or some sexual stuff depending on how it's done. And they would negotiate that with their partner. So just because someone's autistic doesn't mean to say they're asexual. And like I said, some autistic people, they're obsessed, because autistic people, some of them get very obsessed with certain things, right? And it might be a project they're on and they're obsessed with it to the point where that's all they'll do 24/7 or as many hours as they can of the day. And they just have to concentrate on what thing, and they'll do it and do it, do it and do it. And if they don't do it, something's wrong and they have to do it. It's like a must for them, compulsion. Right, so some sexuals, some people who are like sex can get like that over sex because it's compulsion. Now, obviously, if you're in a relationship and like that could be a good thing, compulsion. If they're getting compulsive, as in they're possessive over you, then that it's really bad. But if they get compulsion and you like a lot of communication, say, and they're compelled to message you in the morning, can message you in the evening, throughout the day, if you like that, and it's not to the point of, it's not to the point where it's intruding on your life and it's not feeling good. But if you're a person that likes a lot of contact and communication, and they're like, oh, I must message that person as soon as I get up in the morning, I must message that person before I go to bed, that's a really good thing. Personally, I like a guy messaging me before he goes to sleep and when he wakes up in the morning. I like a guy chatting to me loads, right? I still like a life of my own. I still like to see my friends. I like time out. I switch my phone off, right? Because that's healthy for me and it's healthy for them to do that. But, if I had a guy that was obsessed in a healthy way for me, as in lots of communication, then that would work well, And if, you like to please me and stuff like that. So they can be good obsessions. You can have bad obsessions that are unhealthy. You can have good obsessions. So, you have to get a balance in any type of relationship. Obviously, if I can be with someone who's obsessed with porn, I don't even want a guy who's into porn. It's not my thing. I don't like it. I don't feel comfortable with it. And I don't, if a guy's in a relationship with me, I'm like, why the hell are you watching that? Even if you're not having sex with me, why are you doing that, right? But I can, I can sort myself out in that department if I need to, if I get arousal, But the point is, is not every asexual person is autistic, and not every autistic person is asexual. And that's the point that I really wanted to make, because you don't just think that, oh right, that person's asexual, so they must be autistic, and that's got to be the reason why they're asexual, you know. But obviously, you know, for people who are or autistic and they don't want sensory overload, and one of the sensory overloads is touching, you know, some of those might still want sex, but they've got to negotiate how to do it, so there's less touching involved, which obviously their partner's got to understand as well. You know, it's like with kissing, or, you know, for me, I'm all over guy with clothes on, you know, kissing, cuddling. I like deep, you know, like lots and lots of physicality, but with clothes on and certain boundaries, like don't touch certain parts. But, you know, like I like sitting on guys' lap in between his legs, kissing, cuddling, all that type of thing. I'm very different to quite a lot of asexuals, I think, in that respect. But then there's the other grey, you know, more grey asexuals, and they are really into physical touching all over the body and naked. Oh, I'm not into naked bodies, you know, so we're all different. There's nothing broken with us. We don't need to change who we are. In fact, we need to find more people who love us for who we are, with all our quirks, with all our differences, right? I need to find people, obviously, be around people who love my bubbly personality, who love being talkative, who love loud, bubbly girl, like that. Do you know what I mean? So we need to find our tribe within our tribe, because there's lots of different types of asexuals, and we need to find asexuals who we can relate to. Some might be very different to us, but we still get on with them really well, because the world is diverse, and that's beautiful. On the subject of feeling broken, I tried a dating site because I wanted to be normal, and I met this guy. He was really rude and made jokes about abuse, saying it's funny, which really hurt. Stevie, that guy was a narcissist, and I'm glad he's out of your life. I hope you blocked him. Any guy or person, any gender person who sides with an abuser is abusive themselves. They're narcissistic. Get rid of them. Do not feel bad about it, because it's not you, it's them. Okay, just to tell you that. I've got to go because I've got to Skype my best asexual friend, because I promised them, right? But I just want you to know this without a shadow of doubt. If anyone sides with an abuser and starts being on the abuser and making fun of you, they are narcissistic, they're abusers themselves, and leave the life and block them. They are not worth your time, energy, and effort, and they are certainly not worthy of your love or care. All right. And I wanted to point that out, Stevie. Actually gave me flashbacks to my abuse, and it sucked. I'm so sorry. Luckily it was one day though. I'm so sorry. Just know that they are abusive, and thank God you got away from them. I hope you just blocked them out of your life, you know, because you are not broken. There is nothing wrong with you, and there is something wrong with that person to be like that, right? Anyone who sides with an abuser, I've had that on a Skype call with an asexual guy before, years ago. And you know, and it was obvious, you know, and I've never spoke to him since. So, you know, I've got to go because I promised my best asexual friend I'll go. And that's all right. Love you, Stevie. Love everyone. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon. See you soon, Stevie. Lots of love. Bye, everyone.